All right, here we go.
Welcome to week 2 of Anchor. Hey everyone. So, we hope that you really enjoy diving into your different, what you want to accomplish in this course and your different moving through your fears and what you want to declare. And I hope you have been enjoying the work so far.
Yes, I have enjoyed seeing all of the people who are in the Facebook group making their decisions, identifying what fear has been holding them back, and we're going to keep moving um, through the process. This week, it's all about devotion, and so before we get into some of the really cool stuff about planetary deities and things like that, let's talk about your spiritual practices. Your spiritual practice is going to look unique to you as a person, as a spirit, as an individual, as a keeper of light. It is going to be what feels good to you. And we want to make sure that you either create a spiritual practice that you can devote yourself to daily so that you're showing up and or deepening your existing practice. But let's talk about we why devoting to a spiritual practice is so important. So your spiritual practice is a big sign to the universe, a big sign to spirit that you are ready, that you are showing up, that you are open and willing to doing the work that they are guiding, leading you to do, that you are ready and ready to step forward, and you're going to lean into the universe and to have faith that you're held and loved and to grow and to expand and know it's not always going to be easy, but that you trust. And the more that we show up for our spiritual practices, the more that we show up every single day and just connecting, the deeper our communication with spirit becomes, the deeper our communication with source becomes, the more we receive guidance, the more we can take the next step and the next step and the next step, where that expansion and that growth happens. Expansion and growth doesn't just show up all of a sudden in one big giant chunk. It's all of the little steps. It's all of the little nudges that you follow. And when you reflect back in your spiritual diaries, if you're keeping a spiritual diary, which we hope you are, when you look back, that's where you identify where you've grown and where you've expanded. It's not this big, grandiose moment. It's all of the little ones added together. And so we want you to create a spiritual practice that feels good to you. What feels good to you will change as you grow and expand as well, and that's all okay. For me, I'll share a little bit of what my current spiritual practice is every day. So I wake up and I sit in meditation. I usually meditate anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes a day. It varies depending on a lot of different things, and it's all okay. I show up for it every day, 30 to 60 minutes. I set an intention during meditation sometimes. Sometimes I go into meditation and I just want to be. I pull cards just about every day as well. And I love lighting candles. I love having a spiritual altar. I love, which we're going to talk about in a little while too, with making offers to deities. I love making offers to deities. I love working with the moon energy and lighting candles. So my spiritual practice changes depending on the energy, depending on how I'm feeling, what's going on in the cosmos. Is it a new moon? I might do more ritual. Is it a full moon? Is it a waning moon? It all really just depends, but it's always what feels good to me. So Laureen, what do you have to say about spiritual practices?
Yeah, and absolutely. And the devotion is actually saying, I am offering myself up to do this. I am opening my heart to spirit. Now, the spiritual practice a lot of times can come up as like, oh, I have to do this again today. That's not devotion. That is shooting yourself. um, when you devote to spirit, when you anchor your light, you're saying that I trust that the universe is going to send me in the direction that's going to open myself up for the greatest connection to spirit. I'm devoting myself to showing up with the mother energy, showing up with lunar energy, showing up to the universe. I'm devoting myself to being part of the process as opposed to just, going about my everyday life. It's about devoting yourself to intention. Intention comes with the practice. Now, so many people, before they even devote themselves to their spiritual practice or to their spiritual growth and journey, they just start meditating without intention, without understanding, without really knowing why and even wanting to. And so the first step of devotion is to really say, okay, I'm here, I'm going to do this. I am opening myself up to whatever energy that feels good to you, and I'm devoting myself to my spiritual journey. And that means come hell or high water, I'm coming back to my own energy. I'm going to come back to me. And so devoting yourself to a spiritual practice is showing up every day with what feels good to you. For me, I show up every day in nature. I have to get outside. So if I have time, a great thing to do is intuitive nature walking, which is just walking around outside on a beach, in the woods, in a park, without you might look crazy if there's a lot of people around, but without a purpose. You're not walking on a certain path. You're just intuitively walking over to a tree. And if it feels good, lean up against that tree, or intuitively putting your feet in the sand, or intuitively allowing your energy to lead you. If I can't, I put my feet in the grass outside. My favorite thing to do is on a new moon, put my feet in the grass and have a moon bath and literally just allow her to soak me up, to soak up my energy, allow me to soak her up and her energy and just be one. And I every day sit in my sacred space, and I do have a altar and a sacred space, and I just be. So sometimes my being is just sitting there, just being. There's no intention or purpose. Sometimes I put on meditative music and I meditate. Sometimes I journal if I have things that want to come out. But no matter what, at one point during that day, I am showing up to my practice. I am showing up to what feels good. Sometimes like my day will start off kind of busy. And by mid-afternoon, I'm like, what's off? Oh, I didn't do my practice today. And that's not a shoulding. That's a, how do I get back into alignment? How do I come back to me? And that's going back to my practice. So a lot of my practices end up being in the late afternoon, which I really enjoy. It's kind of like my afternoon coffee. It gives me energy. It really sets the tone for the rest of my day, because intention is so important on the spiritual journey. Intention behind your actions. Why are you doing this? Why do you want to anchor your life? What in your life doesn't feel good, and how can you change it? Setting those intentions is so, so important to devoting yourself to your journey. And also devotion comes with, I'm not going to allow my ego to stop me. I'm not going to allow my ego to tell me that something else is more important than doing, anchor work. I'm not going to allow my ego to tell me that something else needs my attention more than filling myself up. I'm not going to allow my ego to keep me small and to hold me down. I'm devoted to rising no matter what it takes to come back to me, to come back home. I'm devoted to that. So that's my spiritual practice every day.
I love that. I love how you brought up the point around it not having to be at the same time, and how life happens. And sometimes, you miss that opportunity in the morning to, go to your sacred space and do your normal spiritual practice, but you always make time, and you can feel it. When you're devoted to your spiritual practice, you can feel a difference in yourself when you haven't shown up for that practice that day. And it's all you can do but to okay, I have to get into my space. I have to get into my space. You fall in love with that space, whatever space that is. Whether it's getting outside or having a devoted space in your home, no matter what it is, you get back to that space and everything just feels better. I love that. That is so resonant with my own experience as well.
Because it's a physical representation of going home within yourself, and it just feels really good.
Absolutely.
So also what has come up as we started this program we started in the new moon, which is opening your heart and opening your intentions and being that clear slate, being the one that can hold your dreams. And you guys did the work of claiming what you wanted to have happen through this course, claiming what you wanted to bring into your life or to change, or you made your exclamations in the new moon, and that set a seed in the universe that really allowed the universal energy, because the moon, Shikisha and I work a lot with the moon because it's the closest planetary, it was not a planet, but it's the closest deity to our own planet, and so it affects us greatly. She pulls the tides with her energy, and so she also pulls out of you your dreams and intentions and helps you co-create with the universe. And now we're in a phase of the waxing moon, and the waxing moon is all about a time to really explore your dreams and to have courage to overcome the fears that you wrote down last week. Have courage to write them down again, or to ego vomit again, or have the courage to overcome as our ego creeps in this week saying, there's more important things to do than to learn how to anchor our light, because that's so vulnerable. That's so, that something could happen. We could be disappointed. We could fear could open up, so instead of allowing the ego to creep in during this waxing moon, we show up and know that the sky is the limit for us, that we are moving forward. We show up in faith. So we're here this week to explore our dreams, to explore our desires, to really dive in and hold on to that devotion and what we want to come into our lives. How can we do that? How can we show up with this waxing moon and really dive into our dreams and desires as the universe is still pulling it out of us, right, Shikisha?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the waxing phase because of the devotion aspect. One of the things that I love to do during the waxing phase, and one of the things that I would love for you guys to do as a sign of devotion too, is to answer that question. How can I be courageous? How can I take a step towards my dream, knowing in faith that I am held, that this dream is a part of me at a deep soul level, and the moon energy is pulling it out of me on purpose? How can I show up? How can I devote myself to the seed that I've planted? And one of the things is you could create a plan. So if there's something that, let's use anchor, for example. If you want to anchor your light, you're here on purpose. You're here for a reason. So anchoring your light is a priority for you right now. It's a desire. It's a seed that you have planted. It's why you're here. What can you do to make sure that when ego starts to creep in and says, oh, you don't have time to do the anchor homework. Oh, we're not going to do another worksheet. What can you do? How can you take a step forward and say, you know what? I am in faith, devoting myself to anchoring my light. I am going to put this on my calendar, and there is nothing save for a dire emergency that's going to keep me from doing my anchoring work. Like, there's just so much power in the waxing phase because you get to step forward. You get to step forward and take more ownership of the decision you made last week by devoting yourself in action, like the movie. It's time to take a step forward. I love the waxing phase. Love it.
So that's something to lean into because, this week we're going to activate our sacral chakra. And as we've activated our root chakra last week, and as we're activating our sacral chakra this week, our psychic body, that light that we're anchoring, our intuition, our soul, is becoming more and more anchored into our physical body. And as we're doing that, each step of the way, like last week we felt that jolt of deep rooted energy, and this week we're going to feel that natural witch medicine woman energy. And as all of those are lit up within us and we become brighter and stronger and more connected to our psychic body. The work that we do within the moon, just like working with the waning moon and how it's all, the waxing moon and how it's all about courage and moving forward, is going to be deeper within our soul. It's going to come from this deeper place. And it's going to be more in alignment with the universal energy. And the action we take is going to create the universe's consciousness, the universal consciousness, to co-create with us, because we're more anchored, we're more light, we are more outside of the egoic mind. And we talked about ego and consciousness last week. And the best way to really be more of us is to be present, because when we come from a place of presence, that really quiets down the egoic mind, that disconnects us from universal energy, universal consciousness, because the ego is edging God out, right? It's telling us that we are not part of all of this, that we are not special, we are not anchored, we are not light. And our ego is just ways of telling us that we're separate, because our ego is there to keep us safe. Yeah. But as we come back to being, come back to taking action from right here, from our anchored light, from our activated chakras, from our connected psychic body, as we come back to being, we realize that we are not that chattering, busy mind. We are the observer of that. Our anchored light is the observer of the ego mind. And when we become the observer and we do this work, we immediately come back home and we immediately come back into alignment, because being in alignment to co-create with the universe is not about doing more. It's not about being more. It's about coming back to us so that we can co-create with the universe and not edge it out.
Absolutely. And so what we want to dive into today is how can we invoke planetary deities into this waxing phase? How can we call on and bring in the energy and the magic and the power of these planets to help support us in creating and co-creating with the universe?
Absolutely. Yeah, because as we do co-create with the universe, we call upon, because, the planetary deities have their own energy. They're also connected to the universe. They're part of the universe. They're part of God. They're part of Source. They have such tremendous personality and energy and consciousness to them, that working with the planetary deities, we become more of this anchored body that's co-creating with the world around us, with the universe, with the cosmos. And when we call upon that planetary deity, we are telling the universe we are no longer available to push and strive from our ego, that we are co-creating, that we are interested in reaching our energy out, anchoring our light, and becoming one with the universal energy, and really bringing in and invoking what is best for us on this journey. And so this week we wanted you guys to read through the 6 main planetary deities. There's actually 7 that are within our inner realm, and that also includes Saturn. But what Saturn is very forceful and patriarchal. So a lot of times when we're doing magical work, we don't include Saturn because there's already so much Saturn energy in the world. So what we decided to do was to pick those 6 main deities that can really come in and help us to co-create on this journey of anchoring our light and bringing more of us to our being. And so this week we asked you to look through the planetary deities. Which one represents what you're going to change or anchor or transition through during this period, during our work together?
Absolutely. And the information that we provided to you in this week's workbook is just a small tidbit of the information that's available about these planetary deities. There are tons and tons of resources online for you to explore. And so this week, we want you to look through the list that we've provided for you in your workbook. And we also want you to, once you've felt into the deity, once you've decided like, okay, this one really resonates with me, this one feels good, this one feels like it's an energetic match to the decision that I've made in week one. This energy feels like it could be the energy that I would want to work with. We want you to go out and do a little bit more research. So choose the planetary deity from the workbook that feels good to you. Go out and explore that deity, read up on that deity, and then gather some supplies. You'll find all of that information online too. And of course, you can always post in the group, and Lorene and I are happy to help and support you. But gather up some supplies for an offering, because we are going to be doing some of that stuff in the coming weeks. We want you to also declare in the group which planetary deity you're working with. We want to know. We're super excited. We can't wait to see what you guys choose to work with. But I wanted to touch a little bit on what it means when we say we're invoking the energy of a planetary deity. So when we're invoking a planetary deity, we are opening up ourselves and inviting the energy of that planet into our own energy and allowing it to support us with intention. And it's really a simple thing to do. It's not anything that's really hard. It's as simple as setting an intention and inviting the energy through. So we don't want you to feel like overwhelmed or nervous about invoking. Invoking is a very, very powerful opportunity to co-create, to call in the energy, so that you're not leaning on your own reserves all the time. There's so much that's available to us cosmically and spiritually that there is no reason why we should have to shoulder all of that on ourselves. We can certainly call in and invoke the energy of planetary deities to support our intentions, and it's magical when we do. So we're so excited to see what you guys decide. Which planetary deity are you going to be working with?
And so when you invoke a planetary deity that's in alignment with your energy, what you do is you create, when you co-create with that planet, the universe loves a good co-creation, a good rhyme, a good connection. And so as you're bringing in that energy and as you're co-creating, the universe is going to get in alignment with that work that you're doing with that planet. And so with the help of the magic around the planet and the ritual and tools that we bring in, it's going to help you anchor your light deeper, co-create more often with the universe, so that it becomes a natural habit for you to just be in alignment and co-creation with your own energy as you connect to the universal energy around you.
Awesome. So awesome. Okay. So that's our planetary deities. We want to talk about the sacral chakra. Now, a lot of times when we hear the word sacral chakra, we immediately think creativity. But the sacral chakra is also a sexual chakra, and it is also a representation of the divine union of the male and female within. We all have masculine and feminine energy flowing inside of us. We all have that. You know, male and female, we have them both. And so that male energy is, I can always tell when I'm sitting with my male energy or working with my male energy when I'm ready to push and strive and do all the things. And when I'm working with my female energy, I'm going within, I'm contemplative. And I can tell when that shift happens within me and how connected I am to the lunar cycles, because during a new moon and a full moon, I'm in a very sort of feminine energy state. I become contemplative. It's good to know these things about your own energy. And so I want you to use your spiritual diaries to start charting how you feel during these various lunar cycles as we go through Anchor, because it's important so that you can start to plan accordingly, you can work with deeper intention, especially if you know within yourself how your energy sort of ebbs and flows. But for me, a feminine energy kind of rises to the top and becomes precedent when there's a new moon or a full moon. Whereas my male energy starts to come in during this waxing phase and moving into the between the waxing and the waning phases of the moon cycle.
Absolutely. And it's so important because as we allow the sexual energy that's opening within us, a lot of you felt the root chakra last week during the activation, the uncoiling of your Shakti energy. And Shakti is all about that female representation. And as you get up into the sacral chakra and recognizing that all of the energy that we have, all of the way that we are connected to the universe is sacred, all of it. And as we start to allow that sexual energy to come into our lives, allow that sacred energy to be part of us, because sometimes it becomes taboo in society, you know, like, and that all has to do with the shadows and not accepting pieces of yourself. And the biggest part of anchoring your whole being into who you are is allowing that deep, rich sexual energy that gets charged up to be part of who you are, part of what inspires you, part of your creativity. And the reason that a lot of times we talk about creativity with the sacral chakra is because that's the more acceptable thing to talk about. But through that sexual energy that comes in through your masculine or your feminine, to not, you know, make that part of your shadow, to not make that part of something that you don't honor within yourself, and to know that your sexuality is divine, and that your beauty and your connection to your sacral chakra is so divine. And the union between the male and female energy, the union between that Shakti rising energy, that powerful surge of feminine sexual energy, when you allow that to become part of you, when you allow that deep feminine energy to ground within you, that patriarchal, external, pushing, striving male energy becomes more balanced within you. And you become this sacred union of this healing energy within yourself, this deep, cultivated energy that is welcomed within yourself, because we don't allow that sexual female part of us. A lot of us women who are strong women, we think we have to push on the masculine, and we have to be more masculine, and we have to push and strive. And so sometimes when our Shakti is rising and we are those strong women, we become more masculine. We become more of what we know. And so to start acknowledging and allowing the representation of that divine feminine sexual energy within our sacral chakra, to start knowing that our sexuality is so divine, is not, it's nothing to push away, it's nothing to hide, it's nothing to look at as sinful.
Or shame.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of that energy of shaming the sexual connection between the male and the female came from the days when, you know, that witchy energy was really looked down on, and the divine sexual feminine energy. That's why if you go back to the history of female energy during the times, you know, around before Christianity really started, the feminine energy, the feminine sexual energy was so revered that when there was more control taken over women, they named people who were sacred virgins, right? Because of the Virgin Mary. That is a sacred virginity. Virginity is sacred. Not having sex is sacred. Waiting until you're married is sacred. And it was just control over that deep, divine, sacred energy. But the love that you have for somebody and the desire to connect to spirit, and your fierce Kalima energy and your deep mama bear energy, and all of that is the same energy as the deep sexual Shakti energy that's rising within you. It's all your energy. So as we start to accept and love the sexual parts of us, and allow that to become part of who we are again, it helps us to anchor that energy within us. And that's what the sacral chakra shows us. Right?
I love it. And so the sacral chakra energy is connected to the natural witch archetype. So the natural witch is the medicine woman. She's the sacred lover. She's the seeker. She's the medicine woman. She has the capacity to journey into the shadows in order to find the light. Throughout history, as Lori mentioned earlier, she has been misunderstood and mistreated, especially around the time before Christianity started. The natural witch was revered. She was held in high regard in her community. She was, sought after for healing, for advice, for understanding, for support. She was a leader in her community. And then post Christianity, there was this negative sort of connotation put on the natural witch, like, they were burned at the stake. They were really mistreated and forced to hide and to suppress that sacral chakra energy. The natural witch is the essence of the earth. She is connected to the cycles of life and of nature. She's in tune with the seasons. She's the guardian of the earth. She is, when marriage occurs, we experience the birth of a beloved, so that we are no longer searching for a beloved outside of ourselves. We're no longer searching for love outside of ourselves. We all have a little bit of that natural witch archetype inside of us, and she lives in our sacral chakra, just as we have the earth mother who lives in our root chakra. Today, we are going to be activating our natural witch. We're going to be activating our sacral chakra energy.
Yeah, because it's so important to allow that divine union between the male and the female that we have within us, because when we allow that divine union, we don't look outside of ourselves for anything more. So if we're really in our feminine, we can become disconnected in a way that we feel more, if we're too much in our feminine, we can feel weak or martyrism, or we can feel like things aren't fair, or that we can't connect, or we feel like we're not enough. And the too much feminine can cause some weakness within us, and too much masculine within us can cause the anger, the pushing, the striving, the conflict, the taking over, the war, the fighting within our world around us. And so you don't want any of those two energies to be super heavy, because it disconnects us from the union within ourselves. So when we marry those two energies, when we activate that chakra and marry the energy, we no longer have to look outside of ourselves for things that we need. We no longer have to search for the masculine because we are too feminine, or we don't have to search for the feminine because we don't have that masculine within us. We're not too much of the masculine. So as we connect those together, and as we get deeper within the masculine and the feminine and activate that chakra, we have more passion for ourselves. We become in love, not with anybody else, but just in the energy of love. When you do that, when you become part of this anchored love, when you are in love in general with life, with the force of love, all the relationships you have around you become a piece of that. So if you are in a romantic relationship, it becomes the piece of the love that you already are for yourself. And so the sacral chakra, that natural witch, that divine feminine within us, is so important to balance and to connect to, and to allow yourself to journey into the shadows, to find your light. Because like we talked about in the workbook too, it's with your feminine energy, when you're allowing her to come up in this divine sacred way, and your masculine energy to be balanced, when you're no longer hiding or pushing down things that you don't like about yourself, when you're no longer allowing your shadows to take over your current life, when you are just acknowledging and allowing yourself to be in that sacral chakra, you allow yourself to be that witchy energy, or to be that earth guardian, or you allow that divine energy to come within you, you start to look at your shadows. And when your shadows come to light, you anchor your light immediately, because you no longer push them away. You no longer say that there's parts of you that aren't unacceptable. There's parts of you that are unhealthy or unsatisfied, or unsatisfying to others. You no longer try to change yourself so that you can be loved. You are already in the energy of love. And so that's why we really want to activate the chakra for you guys, so that you can, with the energy of love, choose your planetary deity, and to work on your spiritual practice, and to get into the universal energy as we anchor our light and bring it back to us. That's really a deep part of the sacral chakra.
Completely. And I love how you brought up the shadows, because yes, in our workbook this week, we are starting to peel back the layers. So last week we had you guys make a list of your fears, to really sit with yourself and allow yourself to identify the things that you were afraid of. And so many of you shared those in the group. We were so proud. We were so proud of the work that you guys have been doing. It's been phenomenal. This week, we are going to start peeling back the layers on each and every one of those fears. We want you to sit with them one at a time and start to peel back the layers. And the way that you're going to do this is to ask yourself 3 questions. You are allowing the answers, whatever they are, whether it's a feeling, an emotion, whether it's a memory of something you remember that's happened to you, an image, whatever it is, whatever is going to come up, you're going to allow it to come up. Whatever that first thing is that comes to mind, allowing it to come up without judging it. Without judging it, you remember, you're just observing. You're just observing at this point. And you're going to allow that to come up, and you're going to write it down. You're going to ask yourself, how do I feel? When did I last experience this exact same feeling? And when was the first time that I felt this? And we want you to write it all out. Sit with each of your fears through the course of the week. Really take your time, and you may find that you want to revisit a certain fear more than once, and that's fine too. You want to peel back the layers, because when we do this, it allows us to look at the shadow. And once we're looking at the shadow, again, without judgment, we can then accept that part of ourselves. We can accept the shadow. We can integrate it into who we are and become more whole. And that's what we want. We don't want to change it. We don't want to change it. We want to integrate it. We want to make it a part of us. We want to bring it up and let ourselves see that it's okay to have this part of myself be out here in the light. And then guess what happens to shadows in the light? They're not shadows anymore. They're not going to hold you back and hold you down, and they're not going to keep you hidden anymore, because you're bringing them up to the light.
It's so beautiful. And Shikisha and I have witnessed this. We actually just witnessed this today. We've witnessed this a lot with our clients and students, bringing their stuff to the light, bringing the parts of, because it's an illusion that it has to be a shadow. It's an illusion that it even is a shadow. It's an illusion. It's not even your truth. So bringing it to the light, you can look at it and say, this is who I am in every bit. And all of it is okay. All of it is good. All of it is holy. All of it is sacred. All of this comes from the divine. Woo, I love this week.
You have to just sit with that for a second and just let it soak in. Every time we talk about shadow work, I get excited, because you guys, when you really, with intention, work on your shadows, oh my goodness, the power and the energy of that work is amazing. amazing. You want to see growth, you want to see expansion, integrate all the parts of yourself. Allow yourself to be all of who you are. It's amazing. And so we're going to prepare. We're going to just take a breath for a second here before we get into our sacral chakra activation. Just before we do that, because we're going to leave you right after the activation so that you can stay in that moment, in that energy for as long as you'd like after the call. We're just going to recap really quickly what we're doing this week. So this week, we are devoting ourselves to the decisions we've made last week. We're going to choose our planetary deity, and that resonates with what we're working on. And we're going to read up on that deity. We're going to start gathering the supplies that feel good to us so that we can start to make our offers to that deity. Okay, we're going to journey into the shadows in order to find the light, taking a good look at our fears that we listed out last week and start peeling back those layers. And lastly, we're going to honor the divine masculine and feminine energy that we have inside of us. And so Laureen's going to walk us through that sacral chakra activation, and then we're going to say goodbye.
So if you guys are watching the replay and you want to come back, know that it's at like 45 minutes that you can come back and do the activation with us. If you are live and you don't have the space and time to do the activation, again, you can come back at 45 minutes and do that with us when you have, when it's quieter, when it's calmer within your energy. So let me find my goddess music. And then we can get started on activating that chakra. Okay, so we're going to take a few deep breaths, bringing air into that orange sacral chakra. Take another breath. Okay, what we're going to do is again take those heart chakra, minor chakras on your palms, and we're going to rub our hands together, get them warmed up, activating your heart, because our heart is what holds all of our energy. It is our main chakra. We're going to place our right hand 2 inches below our navel, where our sacral chakra would be, and we're going to place our left hand on our heart. And we're going to allow that warm energy into our hearts and into our sacral chakra, focusing on that warmth and breathing. Feeling the breath go deep into your lungs and pushed out into your chakra. Try to sense the air going down into your sacral center. Take a deep breath and push the air down to that orange energy. After a few breaths, you can start to breathe normally again. Now bring yourself to a place outside on a warm, sunny day. Again, we're taking that sun energy and we're feeling the sun on our body, and the sun's energy, and the energy from the sun, and the warmth of that orange sun into our solar plexus. And we're allowing that warm energy from our palms penetrating into the sacral plexus. Allowing it to open all around that area from our heart, down our arm, down our left arm, across our stomach, down our right arm, into the sacral chakra, allowing that heat to penetrate and open that orange energy. Allow in your sacral chakra an orange flower to sit right in the middle. And all the petals are closed on your flower, but it's a powerful energy right in the middle of your chakra. The energy from your hands and from the sun strike the orange flower, causing the orange petals to slowly open up. Let those petals, along with the warmth, expand completely across this area and allowing your internal chakra to open as well. Feel and experience the orange petals and the soothing sensation spreading from hip to hip and deep within back to your spine. Allow this pleasant energy to spread right through your lower back as you allow the rays of sun enjoy the warmth, the sensations, and peace that is held within opening that sacral chakra. Give yourself a moment to fully experience this activation, allowing the petals to reach out past your hands. Breathing and feeling the support of your sisters, the support of the universe, the energy from the sun. Allowing your sacral chakra to feel safe and open and honored. Watch as the sun sets in the horizon. Feel and see the orange petals slowly coming back into that chakra, in through the palms of your hands. And allow the chakra flower to remain open. That is the same size as your palms. This will ensure the important energy center remains open enough for you to receive the right amount of healing energy. Allow the energy to trickle down from your sacral chakra into the base chakra and up into the solar plexus, initiating an awakening for next week. Allow the yellow, orange, and red to activate and open. Taking a deep breath, knowing that you are safe to heal, safe to be. Open your eyes and thank the universe for your support. Sit here for a few moments and feel the warmth and allow the activation to embody you. Thank you, guys.